Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Our Issues Birmingham. I'm speaking with Charity Jackson. She is the Chief Academic Director of the Magic City Acceptance Academy, which is a new charter school, certainly new to Alabama and particularly new to the country, perhaps, in that it is the first of its kind, in that it lends itself to the LGBTQ community, those people's desire, and people that are not in that segment of our society who just want to attend because for other reasons they're having a difficult time fitting in to whatever academic program they're in. I understand your school is from 6th to 12th grade, which is a very timely period for human development. I speak from experience. As I approach my 70th birthday, I'm still in the developmental stage. However, I'm going to stop talking and hand it over to you to tell us about your new venture.
Hi. So with Magic City Acceptance Academy, one of our central foci are that we are open to all learners. We are meeting students at the door. We are creating individual learning plans for each individual student based on what they bring to the table and where they can achieve and what we see the potential that they may have. We are a space that is inclusive of all and a brave space for LGBTQ plus identifying folks. So we are looking at including project-based learning. We are looking at centering ourselves in DEI, so that's diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are going to be utilizing social emotional learning practices embedded into the thread of our school. We're going to be doing restorative justice practices as well. And last but not least, trauma informed practices. So that means that we are looking at the student first. We are building relationships, trust with the student, with the families, with the community. And we are building the skills for students to not be able to understand their own place in society, but their emotions, self-regulation, how to build relationships and sustain relationships, healthy relationships with peers, with adults. We are also having those restorative conversations when there are breaches in the agreements of the classroom around, whether it be respect or any other type of community norms that students are creating with their teachers. We are teaching accountability. We are teaching the skills that they need in order to be successful, whatever that definition of success is for that student.
And I trust that in that dynamic, one thing you didn't say, but I'm sure is a big part of society and those students that come to you come from a space where conflict resolution is maybe not dealt with like it should be.
Absolutely. Conflict resolution is most certainly a piece of that restorative justice piece. So when there is that conflict, when there are breaches that happen, how do we hold one another accountable? What types of conversations, mediation do we need? How to have those healthy conversations? Because while conflicts are going to arise, that is just a part of life. How do we actually resolve it? How do we restore the relationship? How do we allow that situation to not determine what will actually be or what could be a beautiful relationship in the future?
As a criminal defense lawyer, the words restorative justice are something that I have tried to engage the judiciary, the prosecutors in my dialogues with them about resolving cases. In New Zealand, for example, it's the way of the world.
Right.
Here, it's more Old Testament and retribution. How do we shift the mindset to a restorative justice concept when we've been essentially totally the opposite of that. We've been more about retribution and punishment more than forgiveness and grace. How do we shift that mindset? Is the idea to catch them at this age group?
Absolutely. So I love that you said mindset because that's where it's centered in is a mindset shift of how we actually look at when things happen. What do we need to do? I think it first starts with like self. So we are definitely going to be helping our teachers understand self. What is your first reaction when a breach happens? Is it to be defensive? Is it to stop, to listen, to actually hear what's going on, to hear from both parties? What emotions are you feeling when that happens? Is it shame? Is it fear? Is it what is happening in the body? So it starts with the teacher first, then teaching students how to do that as well. Because while that's how mindsets are shifted, it's all being brave and challenging that maybe this is what we've learned so far, but where we want to get to in the future to actually have all of humanity honored and valued, we have to challenge. We have to be brave and stand up and advocate for self, advocate for one another when we see things that are happening that don't align to our core values.
You know, I think, and we don't have enough time to go into it in this segment, but we will come back to it when we come back from break. Um, the initial reaction to what you're trying to do is to me, from publics in general, going to be resistance because it's different. And change, although a good thing, is sometimes met with resistance, even though the resistance may be misunderstood. And I think that's a lot of what you might get on the front end. I'm interested in hearing how you're being received here locally. We'll talk about it when we come back. Don't leave. We'll be right back. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Be right back. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. We're talking with the academic director of the Magic City Acceptance Academy. That's a whole new concept. Now, I came up as a Catholic and went to Catholic school, and I'm now in recovery as a result of all of that. However, and I make a little joke there, my child was taught in the Montessori system, almost through the sixth grade, and then into private school for 2 or 3 years, and then into public school. So she's well-rounded. Montessori has sort of a student-based approach as well, and it sounds to me that your approach is directed at the individual needs of the student as well. So,
absolutely,
coming from somewhat of a controversial mindset, again, that word, in this community, Alabama, the most resistant to change place you will ever find in this country, probably. I'm not speaking of globally. What are you finding in terms of how you're being received in this community?
So, with the HOMA community, we have been met with open arms, open, loving arms, and the community is being really supportive and we have many emails about support for our school before the charter was even accepted. We have families, student testimonials. We have our sister organization that we work with, Magic City Acceptance Center, that the academy was birthed from, and having student support there, having family support there has been tremendous and has pushed us forward. We also have officials. We have folks who have been advocating for more diverse and inclusive curriculum that are pushing or in support of us as a whole. When the Charter Commission first started looking at our charter this last semester, we had the support of a few board members, and we just needed the support of just a couple more. And so within the third time that we actually went before the Charter Commission of Alabama, we got the support that we needed. And I think that the chair was one of the biggest supporters in pushing us forward because, yes, like you said, Alabama is resistant to change, but I think that we're starting to see that glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel where change is happening, it is possible. And we're starting right here in Alabama, in Birmingham, where we're the only public charter school in the country that has LGBTQ plus inclusivity and affirming space in our actual mission and vision.
So if you want to assign a definition for the audience, LGBTQ plus, who are you speaking of when you say that?
So when we say LGBTQ plus, it is not to demean, diminish, or leave out anyone. So the plus is there for a reason. So that's, inclusive of folks who identify as lesbian, gay, bi, trans, queer, questioning, intersex. We're looking at pansexual. We're looking at asexual. We're looking at the entire broader scope. Non-binary, folks who identify as something other than cis and heterosexual.
And when you say cis, you're talking about the way a person was born.
We're talking about gender, so cis versus trans.
Okay, so I'm cisgender as a male.
Yes, you are a cisgender male, absolutely.
Okay, now curriculum-wise, I mean, is it English, math, geometry, or is it those things plus other things?
So we've got our core content and we have other things. So what we're going to be doing is sending out a interest and needs assessment to students and families once they begin registration so that we know exactly where students are coming from so that we can meet their needs. So if students are interested in art, visual art, or digital art, or they're interested in chorus or band, or they're interested in doing coding or animation, we're here to support students in what they're interested in. So we will be providing electives that are inclusive of that. We're also looking at a partnership with Jeff State Community College so that our juniors and seniors actually have the opportunity to go ahead and get some of those college credits that can be put towards a associate's or bachelor's degree. So we are looking at the core content, of course. So you've got your English language arts, your math, your science, and your history that are required by the state. And then adding on to that, what are some of the things that they're interested in? How can we offer what students are needing, a push towards their interests? Because we are, once again, looking at having individual learning plans. That means that we're going to be developing passion work, purpose work. So what is it that they are most passionate about? What are they really good at? What do they like to do? And what courses can we offer that will lead to being successful in a career or in college and then a career after that?
So the plus piece would allow a student who didn't identify as LGBTQ,
yes,
just somebody that wanted to come to your school and be interviewed for a specific subject matter that they have a passion for. They could find that with you?
Yes, they can. So we are inclusive of all. So that's students with disabilities, that's students who identify with the LGBTQIA2S plus community. We're looking at diverse populations as it pertains to race. So folks that are part of the BIPOC, the Black, Indigenous, and people of color community. We are open and affirming of all.
Okay. Well, we're going to come back. I have a couple of things that are on my mind about teachers and the practicality in terms of how your school operates as compared to how, 8 to 3 kind of dynamic. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Don't go away. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. Following up to what I was talking about right before break, teachers at your school, from whence do they come? Where are they? Traditional teachers that are perhaps in other schools now that are transitioning over? And surely there's a different kind of training protocol for the teaching model that you have there.
Absolutely. So we have put out an all call for hiring for teachers. So some of the folks that we've gotten so far that are interested are traditional teachers. We've got some teachers who are going to be teachers soon. So they're in their last semester of their education degrees, whether that be at a bachelor's level or a master's level. We've got some folks who have worked as paraprofessionals in the supporting students in their learning and working in partnership with the teachers to develop lessons that accommodate and or are modified for the students in the classroom or that they are supporting. We are looking at training right now. So teachers will actually get support in developing their understanding for social emotional learning, project-based learning, trauma-informed practices, restorative justice practices. So we're not necessarily requiring that they come in with that knowledge and skill set. What we're looking for is the mindset, kind of like what we talked about earlier, the willingness to treat our students as humans at the very base, honoring the student themselves, valuing their voice, and being able to elevate the voices of the diverse learners that we will have.
So when I was in search of a school for my daughter, our daughter, parents are always concerned about the teacher-pupil ratio. You know, well, that's 10 to 1, and this is 25 to 1. Is there a certain number that you are geared for, or is that going to be dependent upon the number of students you end up with?
So it's a both and situation. So we are looking at 20 to 1, but there's a chance that it might be lower than that. 20 is definitely going to be our max. Class size or student to teacher ratio, 20 to 1. We have some grades that may be lower than that, just depends on the enrollment itself.
And what type of enrollment are you looking to have in terms of numbers? And I know you're taking applications as we speak. What type of numbers are you thinking you'll reach, or your goal to get to is? I mean, you can have too many.
So our goal is 300. We can work with 250, and we have capacity for 400 plus. So we are looking for more students, of course. We are in the middle of application / enrollment. So
if I'm a parent with a child that I would like to be considered, and I trust there's an application and an acceptance part, I assume not everybody is allowed in, I say that because they may not fit based on an evaluation. Do you have a process that they go through? Is there a committee, or admissions committee or something?
We ended our lottery recently, and so right now, whatever seat is open is open. And once we have reached or met our cap for the school, so capacity wise, that's when we will cap it off. But we have open seats. We have a significant number of open seats. So if they apply right now, they will definitely get a seat.
So
as long as the seat is available.
How does a parent watching go about applying?
Absolutely. So you can go to our website at mcaa-bao.org, and the application is on the home site. You click on the link, it'll take you to PowerSchool where you'll log in. Most folks have a PowerSchool login already. So what they'll have to do is go in. I think that they have to change their password, but they go in and they apply, and they will receive notification within 48 to 72 hours on whether or not there's a seat still available.
Is the child brought in to be talked to before being accepted or rejected, or?
They get an automatic response through PowerSchool. One of our teammates, we have our director of STEM and our registrar that are over that part. If there's a family that wants to contact us, you can go through the website as well and request a meeting with us. We've had conversations with a couple of parents and some students as well, as to what would life be like as a junior or a senior, or what is life going to look like on a daily level. So we are open to having conversations with all.
And I feel like the audience would want to have some idea of how costs are factored in to attending your school.
So we're a public school.
You're a
So
public.
we are 100% free.
Really?
So we are a public charter school, so there is no tuition.
So it's open to any demographic that wants to attend, regardless.
Yes, sir.
Well, is the classroom setting traditional, or is it more Montessori-esque? It's the only thing I know to compare it to. You know, a lot of tables.
I went to Montessori, so I know it's very sensory oriented.
Yes. I
So
love
right
the
now,
no homework piece.
so our classrooms right now actually are being built. So everything in the room will be movable. So the chairs are on wheels, the desks are on wheels, so it's for multiple different formations. We've got some glass windows that students can actually write on and be able to show their work. We've got, we're going to have smart boards and things of that nature. So it's not too Montessori, but it is definitely different than a traditional classroom where they're sitting in rows potentially, or just have stationary furniture in the room. The whole idea is that students will be able to move, the board will be able to move, students will be able to look from different angles of the room as to how to participate. And so we want to encourage community and collaboration. It's one of our core values.
Well, I want to thank you for being with us today. I want to wish you all the luck in the world in your new venture, and I hope it's as well received by our watching audience as it is by what I'm hearing. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week.